The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everybody, this is Zach Ellsworth with Imprintables Warehouse. Today I get to present the Great Garment Graphics seminar called Stretch Your Sales and Profits with Spectraflex. I want to thank everybody who's here for attending. First thing we're going to do is actually walk through a quick outline of what we're going to cover today, what you can expect. First, we're going to give you a couple poll questions, which will be coming in just a minute to find out where everybody is, if you have a vinyl cutter and the types of vinyl that you're currently using. Next thing we're going to do is cover some of the benefits of using Spectraflex, which is one of the new materials here at Imprintables Warehouse for heat application on your through your vinyl cutter. We're going to walk through creating a design using our software, our online software called CADWorks Live, so you get to see some of the features and benefits of that software. We're also going to use Spectraflex on a couple different shirts. We have some video for you that we're going to show, walking through the whole process from cutting to weeding to proper heat application. And you'll see as we get there that we actually ran into a couple unexpected problems that we're going to deal with, and I'll explain those to you as well, how we can fix some things. Also have a couple application picks for you to review, different applications for the material. I'm going to show you a quick cost analysis comparing it to some of the comparable products that people use, and then we're going to give you a special offer at the end from Imprintables for attending this webinar and placing your first order for Spectraflex. So with that, we'll get started. Nicole from Great Garment Graphics is on here with me, and she has our poll questions for us. So Nicole, if you would pop those up, we'll take a minute to review them. First poll question should be, do you currently have a vinyl cutter? Let's see here. Nicole, did we get all the answers there?
Yes, we do, Zach. We have 79% that owns a vinyl cutter and 21% that does not.
Okay. Great. For those 79%, you'll be able to take quick advantage of the special. For those 21 who don't, we'll review a little bit about vinyl cutters through the process here so you know the type of investment that you're going to get into. If you don't mind popping up the second poll question, should be a list of different heat transfer vinyls that are out there. We just want you to tell us which ones you use primarily. What is your go-to heat transfer vinyl? And what we'll do throughout the webinar here is talk about the comparison of Spectraflex to some of those go-to vinyls.
Okay, Zach, we do have the results of this poll question. We have 27% that use EcoFilm, 27% for thermofilm. We have 19% for Thermoflex, 8% for Easy Weed, and 19% for other.
Okay. All right, great results. Appreciate everybody filling that out for us. The first thing that we want to do, knowing what your primary vinyls are, is kind of review the benefits of using Spectraflex, or maybe some of the differences to those heat transfer vinyls. So as far as Spectraflex goes, the biggest benefit, or the reason that we brought this product on, or that your customer would want to use it, is exactly what the name says. The product is stretchable. So this is going to work for Lycra. The material will work for spandex. We'll go through it in a little bit, but you can work it with thermals and baby ribs. Anything that needs a little bit of stretch, this product is great for. It's specifically designed to apply to those types of materials and give you great stretch and rebound. Secondly, the product is a 19-inch production-friendly roll, so this is great for team uniforms. If you want to do name and number combinations, it's going to fill up a full back. It's great for layout and also for ganging of multiple jobs. You pick up a little bit extra material in comparison to the EcoFilm and the Thermoflex and the Easy Weed. You get more material to use for pretty much close to the same price. So you get that 19-inch production-friendly roll. Third benefit to Spectraflex is the low application temperature. This applies, our recommended temperature is 302 degrees Fahrenheit. You can actually apply this material as low as 285 and get successful results. So that minimizes some of the burn and the scorch marks that you run into on the polyesters that you would be applying this to. And it also helps to decrease some of the dye migration that you could experience with a higher temperature application, where most of the other products that you use are probably in the 320, 330, maybe even up to the 350 degree range. So Flex applies at 302, can be as low as 285. Fourth, Spectraflex has a pressure-sensitive carrier, which all that means is that it has the clear carrier that it comes on is sticky. And it's not quite as sticky as some of its other competitors, but it's still sticky enough to where you can get very fine detail out of your designs. That's where the advantage is in the stickiness. You can cut down to 1/4 of an inch text and get a lot of fine detail, which hopefully you'll see on our couple designs today. Fifthly, the material has a true matte finish. When you heat apply this and you peel it away, it actually looks like a matte screen printed finish, where some of the other products out there are more of a gloss or a semi-gloss finish. So if you're looking for a true dead matte finish, Spectraflex gives you that. It's also production friendly, gives you a hot or cold peel. So whether you want to peel as soon as your design's done, or if you want to set your shirts to the side and have somebody come back and peel everything later, you can do that as well. You can peel hot, cold, or warm. So very production friendly. And lastly, it has a very soft hand. So not only is it great for these uniforms and these stretch applications, but it's really good for fashion applications as well if you just want to do standard t-shirt decoration and get something with a really soft finish. Okay, what most of our time today is going to be spent on is getting a design and actually walking through the process of using Spectraflex. So those of you with a vinyl cutter, you probably already know what the heat transfer process looks like, what it looks like to cut a design in mirror image on your machine, weed away all your excess and take it to the press. For those of you who don't have a vinyl cutter that are attending today, this might be new to you, at least to show you how to do it. Maybe you were only using signed vinyl up to this point. This is going to be a great walkthrough of what it looks like to use a heat transfer vinyl. So the software that we carry here at Imprintables, or that we offer to you as an online service, is called CADWorks Live. And we're going to visit cadworkslive.com. But one of the reasons we give you this software is because when you're getting started cutting vinyl, one of the toughest things to do, or some of the biggest learning curve, isn't the actual production. It's getting artwork that is good for your customer and good for you to produce. So what CADWorks Live is it's a software of templates. It has clip art. It has a team name and number wizard where you can import your local Little League team from an Excel document or from a text document, and it'll lay out those names and numbers for you based on the fonts that you choose at the size that you want. So it's a great tool for getting your artwork ready. There's also tutorials and a design gallery of some creations that have been made using CADWorks Live there to help you out and give you some ideas. So we're going to exit out of the PowerPoint presentation for a second and head over to CADWorks to show you exactly what it looks like. Hopefully everybody can still see the screen here. But we go to cadworkslive.com, and I've already signed up for a membership, which is free as a customer of any of the group stall companies, Imprintables, Stalls ID, or Transfer Express. I logged in as myself. You can see that in the upper right-hand corner. And the designer that I like to use is Cadcut Designer 2.0. It has a few more features and templates than the 1.0, and I think it's really easy to use. So we go over here to create a design, Cadcut Designer 2.0. And I already have it open over here, so this is the screen that opens in a new window. You basically get a blank screen that we're going to do our design work from. So as I mentioned, you have a couple different options to start from in CADWorks. You can use their templates. You can kind of design from scratch with the production tools using the text and the clipboard that's available. For our design today, I've used one of the templates that's available from the folks here at CADWorks. So we click the templates button, and I am in the Pittsburgh area. So the Penguins started the playoffs last night, so we're going to go to the hockey templates and show our team spirit here for the Penguins. So we go to hockey, and one of the designs that I liked, I just wanted to do a two-color design. Another nice thing about Spectraflex is that you can do multicolor applications. It's a nice 1-second heat application on the bottom colors, and then you do the full application on the top colors, which you'll see in the video. So just pick this design with the puck in it, kind of generic, but we're going to get a nice design out of it here. one of the cool things about CADWorks is you can take any part of this design and change it to say or look however you want it to. So I want this holiday tourney. I just double-clicked it. It's going to pull up what it looks like on the screen now. And the design that I want to produce, I'm going to put on a quest for the cup. It's going to render a preview for me on what that's going to look like. And I don't like the rocket type font, so I can go in here and choose one of the fonts available from CADWorks. You can see there's different font libraries over here that you can choose from, or you can actually upload your own font from your computer if you have one that you would like to use. I just use the intramural font, so we just click it, click open, and it updates the design for us. Here, the fill color is kind of just for your reference. It's not actually going to print that because we're going to load the color material that we want to cut. But I'm going to make the fill gold. And I don't really like the way that circle looks, so I'm going to change the width and height on the circle. And I can even go in and change the contour. So I can remove the contour effect that we have on there and then add it back in with a different one that I like better. So we pick contour, and I like this one the best of what we have to choose from. So we click open, and it's taking that one color design and it's going to make it a two-color design for us. So we can click OK. It's going to apply that into the design. And obviously that needs sized, so we can just grab the corner, size everything together, and place it wherever we think looks best. Down here, I don't want it to say winner takes all, so I'm just going to double click that to make a change. And we're going to make this say Pittsburgh. And I think I'm going to keep the font the same, but I'm going to ultimately print this as black, or cut this as black, so I want to see what that's going to look like. Click OK. You can see that by changing the name, it made it a lot smaller, so let's just stretch this out to where it fits in the space that we have. Okay, and we're going to change the year to 2011. Whoop, click the wrong thing. So you're going to delete that background because we won't be cutting that. So change the year. Again, it gives us our preview. And I'm going to change this font to match the text on top. So go back in here, change my font. If you remember, we picked the intramural font, so we're going to do that again. Okay, and again, not really the size we want, so I'm just going to make it larger to look better with the design. And I'm not going to cut that green either, so I will delete that. So we have the design that we want. You can select it all, and there's sizing options down here. We can type in the width or the height that we want, and the size can be independent of each other, where if I click that off, I can make it 11 inches wide. It's just going to stretch everything. We'll take it back. Or what I can do is click this lock, and whatever I change it to, it's going to change the height and the width proportionally. So if we wanted to make it smaller, it's going to change the height and width proportionally. So once we have a design that we like, I'm going to move that down a little bit. So I like the way that design looks. I'm going to send it to VectorCut, which is a download from cadworkslive.com that actually comes down to your computer. If I click back over here, you can get that from the support tools here on the left-hand side and the Downloads tab. And what the VectorCut allows you to do is send directly to your cutter, whether you have a Roland GX24, a Maki cutter, a GraphTech, you can pretty much, or a GCC, you can send to any of those cutters. So we're going to send it to VectorCut. Can change the name to Quest for the Cup. Click OK. So it downloads the file, and since I've already downloaded the VectorCut software, I can just click it, and it's going to open up VectorCut for me. So we'll maximize this to where you can see. We have our design here. We can set up our page size to whatever it is that we're working with our material. With Spectraflex, we're going to be working with 19 inches and however long we want to run. One of the nice things, and I'm going to be cutting on a Roland GX24, but you can choose from these cutters that are already set in or generic HPGL, which is generic cutter language. So if you have a cutter that's not listed here, you can still set it up to cut from it. But we're going to work with the GX24. And I'm going to use Penguin's color. So I'm going to use a metallic gold and a black. And I can choose the portions of the design that I'm ready to send to the cutter just by control clicking. I can send all of the gold, or I can send what I'm going to use for the black, all of the black. So I'm just control clicking those, or if you want to see your whole design, you can select all. The other thing that we need to do is we need to remember to mirror the image since it's a heat transfer vinyl. The difference between the heat transfer vinyl and the sign vinyl is the heat transfer vinyl has the part that you want showing laminated to the carrier sheet. So we need to do everything in mirror image to where we're cutting through the adhesive, and when we lay the adhesive down, it's right reading. So we're going to cut in mirror image, and I'm going to make 2 copies to send to the machine. So once we have everything laid out the way that we want it, and we can do some sizing here as well if we wanted to. We can select everything and size it down or size it up. We simply hit send to the cutter, which I don't have the cutter connected to my computer right now, but it would go through. That's in the print queue. As soon as I connect to my cutter, it's actually going to start cutting this design for us. But I'll cancel that because we just want to send the black and the gold first. So we're going to separate those out and head over to YouTube to actually watch it cut. Nicole, do we have any questions or anything right now before we go through the videos?
One moment, Zach.
Sure.
We actually have a question regarding CADWorks Live. And well, actually, I want to know, do you put the exact size of your material under the material size, or do you decrease it?
What I usually do, the Roland actually reads out and gives you the exact size that you have to work with, which when I was cutting this, I had 18.1 inches to work with. The material was 19. Once I set my pinch rollers, I had 18.1 inches left to work with. So I set my material size at 17 to where there was no room for error. I made sure I didn't overcut. So yeah, I did take an extra inch off just to make sure. If my design was pushing the limits, I could still go up. Since the Roland gives you the exact size that you have to cut, I would go up to the full sheet size. But if I have leeway, I like to take an inch off just to make sure.
Okay. We also had another question. They want to know, with this kind of design, what is the best size for a full front or back?
For a full front, I would probably, it depends on if you're doing a men's or a women's shirt. Women's shirt, I would go probably 9.5 inches wide by whatever the proportional height is for the full front. On a men's shirt, you could probably push the 11-inch mark in width by proportional height. As far as the full back goes, most people are going to do somewhere between a 10 by 12, a 10 by 14, something like that, depending on if your width or your height is more. Here we have a wider design than we do high, so full back you could go 12 or 14 inches wide. With the front, I'd say 9 to 11.
Okay, that wraps up some of our questions there.
Okay. All right. So let's go to our video, and what we're going to do here, I'll just explain it as we walk through it. We have about 5 minutes between setting up the heat press. The heat press we have in our demo room here is a Hotronix air swinger. So I'm just going to turn the power on, and when you place an order with Imprintables or with any other company that is going to give you a heat transfer vinyl or a transfer to use, they'll have recommended application instructions. So all I'm doing is setting the press to those recommended instructions, which for Spectraflex is 302 on the temperature. And then on the time, you'll see this particular machine has a dual time setting, so you can do a preheat time as well as your full application time. What I'm going to do, one of the advantages of this machine is that it has a tack mode. So I'm going to use the tack mode, which you don't have to set a time for. It's just however long you hold the button down for the preheat. So I set both times to my full application time of 10 seconds for this material. The pressure that Flex requires is a medium pressure, which on this machine is about 40 to 50 pounds per square inch, which is what I was setting it at there. So the first color that I'm going to cut is the black. So you can see 19-inch wide roll going in. I'm going to come around the front and adjust the pinch rollers to maximize that. Like I said a little bit earlier, we ended up with about effectively 18.1 inches left to use on the machine. So the pinch rollers need to be over the grit rollers. I position them to the edges of the material to maximize it. And the machine read how much space I had. First thing we do with any new material when we change colors or change materials is do a test cut. So the machine did a test cut there for us. We want to make sure, one, that it's cutting through the material but not cutting through the carrier, which is why I'm feeling underneath of it there to make sure we didn't completely score the carrier. So everything looked good on that. I actually cut at a pressure of about 70 grams of force with the rolling machine, and the blade was set at about 2 millimeters of thickness. So just like half the thickness of a credit card is all the blade has to be showing. And I'm using a 45-degree blade. So it cut our black design that we set up in Vector Cut. I'm just going to cut it off the machine, and we'll take it over to weed. One of the nice things about this sticky carrier, in addition to the fact that it allows you to cut really fine detail, is that if you do make a mistake and weed up one of the letters or one of the portions of your design, you can actually stick it back down to where you don't waste it. You can see there on the Pittsburgh, we picked up some pretty fine detail. The Flex is just pulling out of there. And finishing up weeding, just coming back and picking up the cavities. While these videos are playing, Nicole, if any questions come across, feel free to jump in. We're going to change out the roll here. I said I was going to use the black and the metallic gold. Spectraflex is actually available in 9 different colors. We keep pretty much all the standard athletic colors in stock. We do have a metallic gold and a metallic silver, which is the same price as the regular colors. So load up the metallic gold. I didn't have to move my pinch rollers because the colors are the same size. And again, it's going to read my material, and I'll have 18.1 inches to work with effectively. So we are doing a test cut again, even though we kept the same material and just changed colors. If you were familiar with heat transfer vinyl, sometimes you run into whites or light colors being a little bit thicker than your darker colors to provide better opacity. So I did just want to make sure that the blade depth and the force settings were exactly the same for both colors. So it's going to finish cutting out this portion of the design, and this portion took a little longer than the black did because there was a lot more text involved. Most of my text was cut out of this, as well as the cavities in the text, because it's going to be the top layer. So we'll cut this off and go to weed. So we pick out all the cavities. Most of you are probably familiar with what a weeder is, but it's very helpful. There's a couple different ways that you can pick out your excess material. You can use these weeders, which are like dentist picks. You can use tweezers, an X-Acto knife. Some people just use their fingers, but it definitely takes a lot longer. So our cutting and weeding is done, and the first item that we're going to apply is just a 100% cotton t-shirt. So we'll start with that. We have it over at the heat press. I'm just going to line it up to where most of the seams are off of that lower platen, because I want to make sure I get most of the pressure, the time, and the temperature on the actual application. So the preheat that I did was to remove some of the moisture and the wrinkles in the shirt, which gives you a longer lasting application. I'm going to lay down the black, position it on the shirt. This particular design that we cut, I believe, just so you have a size reference, it was at about 7.5 inches wide. Is the design. So you see just a 1-second tack to get that bottom color down. Then we're going to come back and place the top color, which is the gold. And we're going to do a full application on our final application. This is going to end up being 3 because I did black on gold on black. But you're going to see the problem that I'm running into here is that the shirt, when I applied, even just for that 1 second, shrunk up a little bit because it was 100% cotton and there was probably some moisture still left in it. So what I did, which you'll see when I peel away the excess material or peel away the carrier sheet, is rather than applying that as rather than placing it as one big design, I cut it up into individual words and did placement on it. The size of the vinyl didn't change. The shirt just shrunk up, so it still fits. So you can see those different pieces. All I did was take some scissors, cut up the individual pieces, and place them rather than placing everything all at once. I did not actually run into the same problem with the next garment that we're going to apply. So this T-shirt probably just had some moisture left in it, and being 100% cotton, it just shrunk up on us when we applied it. So we're applying the puck, and you'll notice I covered this time with a Teflon sheet to protect what was already on there that's not going to be covered with the cover sheet. The first couple times I didn't use the Teflon sheet because the cover sheet that Spectraflex is applied to, you don't need that Teflon sheet on there to protect anything. The cover sheet's doing the protection. So I'm going to place my Pittsburgh, and again I'll use the Teflon sheet here to make sure that we don't ruin the application that's already there, and this time it's going to get the full 10 seconds. This is going to finish the whole application and give us a finished T-shirt.
Okay, Zach, we did have a question that came in.
Sure.
We have one of the attendees would like to know, it seems as if weeding is a very time-consuming. Is there any faster way to do the weeding if you have a heavy production run?
There's a couple different things that you can do. Nothing is going to make it easy. There's ways to make it easier, and a lot of that is in the design work on how many cavities you have in your font or how many things you need to weed out of your design. Secondly, a few big production houses will custom build a type of heating table. The whole idea behind that is we are using heat to release the material to the shirt. You can also use a little bit of heat, not up to the application temperature. You can use a little bit of heat to make it easier to pull the vinyl from the carrier sheet, so it lets it release a little bit easier from the carrier. So that's a bit of trial and error in finding the right heat to release the material from the carrier but not activate the adhesive. I'd probably recommend starting somewhere between 120 and 150 degrees Fahrenheit, but that also makes it a little more difficult for your folks, for you or your employees to work over that heat as well. But that's one way to make it a little bit easier. But other than that, weeding is the most time-consuming portion of the process, for sure. Hope that answers the question. Any other ones?
Yes, we do have another one. We have a client who wants to know, he wants to know how many washes this product is good for.
The Spectraflex is good for the life of the garment, which we rate at 50-plus washings. You shouldn't get any cracking, peeling, or fading for 50-plus washings with the material.
Okay, that looks like all the questions. No, that's all for now.
Okay, perfect. All right, the next video here is going to be the same design. We cut 2 of them out of the black and the gold. This is actually going to be onto a thermal long sleeve shirt, and it's going to give us a little bit of an idea of the flexibility or the stretch that's available with the material. So not only can you decorate your standard t-shirts and your polyesters, but you can decorate thermal knit as well. So again, we're going to give the preheat to remove any moisture and wrinkles that we have in the shirt already. And the process is going to be almost exactly the same as the t-shirt. Really, the finished product is the only thing that looks different. One of the nice things about applying to a textured shirt is that the flex is thin enough to where it actually takes on the texture of your shirt, and it's a more fashionable application. Which I don't know if you'll actually be able to pick that up on camera here, but if you can imagine the pattern in a thermal knit, it actually picks up in the material. So again, we're just doing a couple seconds for these bottom colors where we're going to do the full 10-second application for our last application, which is going to be the Pittsburgh. So peeling away the cover sheet, I did all of my peeling hot. Like I said earlier, you can do a cold peel on the material as well.
Zach, we did have another question that came in.
Okay.
They want to know, do we sell a program that is similar to CADWorks Live that can be used for designs on a computer?
No. Well, I don't believe that we have anything. I know at Imprintables here we don't have anything beside the CADWorks Live. We carry the roll-in products, but there's no templating available there. You can do some standard text and some really standard graphics through some of the roll-in softwares, but the CADWorks Live is it's just available online right now for the design work. So we get to our final application here, going to be 10 seconds. And again, we'll end up peeling this hot, and we'll have a finished thermal shirt. And I believe we're going to show you just a little bit of the stretch of the material here at the end. Yeah. So you can see the flex isn't cracking on this thermal knit shirt that we're stretching for you. Okay, let's head back to our presentation. Catch up to where we are. So we showed you the CADWorks Live design software, and if there's any more questions on that, please feel free to ask. I'll do my best to answer them. We showed you the 3 different videos. All those videos are on YouTube, and you'll be able to link to those from the webinar that will get posted on the Great Garment Graphics site, but there's the links there. Some of the potential applications for this material, we showed you 2, t-shirt and thermal, and I've talked about it throughout here today, but some of the real advantages on the things that you can apply to include performance apparel. That's good for both loose fit performance or compression performance wear. The only thing that you do have to watch for is a lot of the, well, not a lot, but some of the compression wear is made of nylon, where flex is rated for polyester and cotton. So if you get a nylon that you need stretch, we would point you towards the Spectra Plus, which has stretchability as well and applies to nylon. So performance apparel, you can do uniforms. This material has been really popular on track uniforms, soccer, cycling, wrestling singlets because of its stretch and rebound. You can do swimwear, which we have a picture coming up for you just to show it on a bathing suit. It's great for spirit wear. And again, as I said, the baby rib and the thermal knits, which are cotton applications that just give you a lot of stretch, where people are going to be stretching those as they wear them, and you won't compromise your design by using Spectraflex for those applications. And of course, it does standard t-shirts as well. Let's see. Some application picks. This is Spectraflex R Gold on a Speedo bathing suit. Have a couple pictures of that. So a little bit of a close-up there. You can see that it is a matte finish, that there's no gloss to the material at all. And that's kind of showing the stretchability on the bathing suit. Then this is a multicolor application that we did for our catalog shoot. So if you have an Imprintables catalog, when you turn to the Flex page, that is the graphic that you're going to be seeing. So I believe that's a 3 or 4 color design that we have layered on top of each other. And the nice thing about the Flex is its thinness and soft hand means that that's still soft on the shirt. It doesn't create what we call a bulletproof application. It's still quite fashionable, and people would want to wear it. As far as cost goes, which would be probably your next question, the cost per linear yard on Spectraflex is $7.52. So if you order a 50-yard roll, you pay $7.52 from Imprintables. And the way we do the cost calculations, there's a couple different ways you can figure out what it's going to cost you to produce a design. One is going to include a lot of waste, and one is going to be if you have a job where you're running multiples, where you can maximize your material, what your true cost is. So the linear yard is what you're going to buy the material by. In that linear yard, which is 19 inches wide by 36 inches, to get the square inches of that, we take the 19 times the 36, and we have 684 square inches in that yard. And at $7.52, that puts us at a cost of just over a penny per square inch. You can see it's 0.0109 cents per square inch for the material. As you look at some of the competitors' cost per linear yard, you're upwards of $7.85 per yard for a 15-inch wide roll of material. So in that 15-inch wide roll of material, you're going to get 540 square inches in a yard, which puts the square inch cost at 0.0145 cents per square inch. So those competitors' costs are actually for materials that don't have great stretch and rebound. They're just for cottons and polyesters, and they're not going to give you the true matte finish or the light fashion feel that Spectraflex gives you. So not only do you pick up additional material, one, to make more money on with your better layouts, you get a superior product for a little bit less expensive price. So to figure out, I mentioned there's two different ways to price it. You can do your square inch. Say you had, we'll do easy math, say you had a 10 by 10 design. You take that 10 times the 10, you have 100 square inches. 100 square inches of Spectraflex just for that one particular design is going to cost you $1.09 in material to produce. One of the other ways that you can price to know your true cost, so if you're using 10 inches of the 19 there, and you're only getting one design up, so that would be like a full back. If you wanted to add a left chest, you can pick up in the extra 9 inches that you have left on your material. You can do a left chest design as well in there for the same cost. So the other way to do your costing is by the linear inch. So in every yard we have 36 inches, and if you're at $7.52 for that linear yard, if you divide by 36 inches, you're at 21 cents per linear inch. So if you price this way, or if you cost this way, you're taking into account all the waste that you could possibly experience. So in your 10 by 10 design, let's assume you waste the extra 5 or the extra 9 inches that you have on the left-hand side. You know each linear inch is costing you 21 cents, so we take that times 10. And if you want to cover yourself and have your customer pay for the waste, your cost for that design that's a 10 by 10 would be $2.10 because you're taking up 10 inches of that 36 that you had that cost you $7.52. So anything you pick up in that waste area, your customer who bought the 10 by 10 is actually already paying for that for you. So you're covered if you do by the linear inch. You take all that waste into account if you experience any. If you do production runs and do your own nesting, then you can do that square inch costing, and it's about your real true cost. It's about half of that. Any questions on that or anything come through?
No, we didn't have any questions on the pricing. However, we did have another question regarding the material. They wanted to know if the flex material will work on ladies' rib fitted shirts.
Yes, it will. It'll work on it. When you apply it, what I would probably recommend is going in a little bit, we would recommend a little bit higher pressure to where it really smashes the design into the shirt, but it should definitely stretch with it as long as it's a cotton or a polyester application.
Okay, thanks. And also I have another question. I have someone inquiring.
Okay.
Yes, I have someone inquiring about uploading their own artwork into CADWorks Live. They want to know if that's possible.
Yes, it is. Let me get out of here for a second. Come over. You can upload images here. Hopefully everybody can see the screen on the left-hand side. So if we wanted to upload an image, it needs to be in an SVG or a CDL format. So you can upload, but it needs to be in one of those two formats, which I believe you can get the SVG out of CorelDRAW, and I'm pretty sure you can get it out of Illustrator as well. So yes, you can upload your images.
Okay, thanks, Zach.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, I have someone inquiring about vector cut. They want to
We'll
know
get to the
what is vector cut.
Vector Cut is a standalone cut driver, essentially, where you do your design work in CADWorks Live. It saves as a file type called a PLTX, and that file will save down to your hard drive, so you can take it anywhere. Once you've done the design work online, you can actually take the design anywhere once you've saved it. And Vector Cut recognizes that PLTX and simply puts it into the cutter's language to send to the cutter. So the vector cut is on your hard drive. So if your design work's done before you travel or before you have or don't have internet access, the vector cut is still able to run your machine apart from the internet as long as you do your design work while you're online. So all it does is it takes those designs and converts it into the language that the cutter is going to recognize and runs the cutter. It's essentially printing to the printer or cutting to the cutter.
Okay, thank you, Zach. That looks like all the questions for now.
Okay. All right. The last thing we have for you here today, and if there are any more questions, just let me know. The last thing we have is the special offer that we have here at Imprintables on Spectraflex. If you wanted to try it out today, you can visit imprintables.com, and at checkout, you can use the promo code that you see there, FLEX. It's just all caps, F-L-E-X, and you're going to get 5% off of any size roll of Spectraflex for that. If you have any questions, my contact info is there. Please feel free to email me or give me a call. But that is what we have for you. Lastly, the next webinar is Tuesday. Is that right, Nicole? April 19th, I think, is Tuesday. And it's Winning Your Customers T-Shirt Printing Business, and I believe that's going to be presented by Transfer Express. So April 19th at 2, make sure you register for that. This webinar, as well as all the other ones that Great Garment Graphics gives, is going to be available at the greatgarmentgraphics.com site. It'll be up on video. We'll give you a little blog post reviewing some of the questions that you asked. But if you missed anything or have somebody that you want to see the webinar, you can shoot them a link and they can watch it online. Anything else, Nicole?
Yes, I did have one last question. I'm sorry. They want to know, does it stick and stay stuck as good as the EcoFilm?
Yes. Actually, the product itself, the vinyl, is essentially the same as the EcoFilm. It's the adhesive that gives us its stretch capabilities. So the vinyl is essentially EcoFilm vinyl with a stretch adhesive. So yes, it does.
Okay, that wraps up our questions.
Okay. Well, that's all I have today. I want to thank everybody for attending. Again, if there are any additional questions or anything like that, feel free to email me or call. Thanks for attending, and I think we're done.